This video is going to show you the different selection tools. The first selection tool that we are going to use is your Marquee Tool. This Marquee Tool, if you click and hold on it, it will have a rectangular Marquee tool, elliptical Marquee, and then there's two more down here, but we don't use those a whole lot. The top two that you will use if you are going to be cropping an image. These do not get close to the item, close enough to edit it or fit it into another picture. So really the only use for these two is if you are cropping an image. We can click and hold and drag. And then if you're going to crop it, you can go up to Image and then go to Crop. And it will crop your image. Now, I'm going to hit Control Z because that is our shortcut to undo. And then to deselect, I'm going to hit Control D on my keyboard. So there's our rectangular, then there's also the elliptical. Then if you go down underneath the Move tool, if you hover over it, it says Lasso tool. The picture, the icon looks like a lasso. If you hold down it, there's two more underneath of it, but this first one, we're just going to click on Lasso tool. For this tool, you have to click, hold, and drag, and you have to loop all the way back to where you began. So I'm going to click and hold. I'm going to try to stay as close to the toes as I can. Keep in mind that this tool is probably not something that you would use if you wanted to get a close selection. Alright, so let's say that I make a really good selection. Say it's good because it's really not. I'm going to loop back to where I began. And as soon as you unclick, you're going to get something called marching ants. These are going to show where your selection is at. So right now, these are not close to the toes, not close enough. It's actually a really bad selection. It's also a bad selection over here. If we could, we would want to take some of this selection out. So that's what I'm going to teach you, is how to take away from your selection. So to take away from your selection, you have to hold down on Alt on your keyboard. And when you're taking away from your selection, you have to start on the outside of your selection. And then click and hold and make your way on the inside of your selection. Then you have to loop outside of your selection and connect it to the beginning. And then it will delete that part of your selection. So again, I'm going to hold Alt, start outside of my selection, make my way to the inside of the selection, and then loop my way out and come back in. Now, if I don't loop all the way back in, so say that I only go right here, then part of my selection isn't taken away. Now, say that we want to add to our selection. So right in here, I could probably add back to my selection. So to do that, I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard. I'm going to start inside of my selection and then make my way to the outside. Loop back around, and I've added to my selection. I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in, you do Control+. And then if you hold your space bar on your keyboard and then click with your mouse and drag down, then we can move this really quick. So you hold down on your space key and then click and drag. Now I've got an area up here that needs to be added to. So I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard, start inside of the selection, and make my way to the outside of the selection. And loop back around. Now, I'm really zoomed in, and to zoom out to the normal size, you hit Control 0. And that is your lasso tool.